Is this movie better on mute, or was it better off not being a movie at all? Today we're talking about Undertone, a brand new A24 horror movie that advertises itself as the scariest sounding movie ever. Directed by Ian Tuason and starring Nina Kiri, this movie leans heavily on sound and atmosphere to deliver its scares. But the real question is, does it actually work? Welcome to Standalone. I'm your host, Jerred, from the Grab Some Popcorn podcast, and today I'm giving you a solo movie review of Undertone. Alright, let's quickly break down the plot. This movie follows Evie, a paranormal podcaster who has moved back home to take care of her dying mother. One night while recording an episode with her co-host, they decide to play a series of 10 mysterious audio files that the co-host received from a couple claiming their house is haunted. And once those recordings start playing, things for Evie start getting pretty chaotic. Now, the cast in this movie is extremely small. In fact, we never even see Evie's co-host on screen. But honestly, it probably wouldn't have mattered anyway, because I'm not sure much could have saved this movie. Let's talk about the best thing about this movie. And when I think about the best thing, I can honestly say absolutely nothing. This movie suffers from a serious case of dullness. Nothing ever really happens, and when something finally does happen, it's stuff we've already seen 100 times in other horror movies. Now, sure, you could say that about a lot of horror films, but the problem here is that Undertone fails to deliver on the one thing it promised: terrifying audio. I don't know how old some of you are, but I remember being younger and going on YouTube with my friends playing Lil Wayne songs backwards to see if there were any hidden messages. It was a little creepy at the time, but I was also like 15. This is an R-rated movie that's supposed to be aimed at adults, and I really don't see many adults finding this movie scary at all. In fact, the R rating almost feels unnecessary. If anything, this movie would have worked better as a PG-13 horror movie to bring in a wider crowd, because that level of tension is honestly more in line with what the movie delivers. Now let's talk about the weaknesses. And honestly, the weaknesses in this movie are glaring from beginning to end. Aside from the fact that it's boring and not scary, the terrifying audio the movie relies on is mostly just people talking loudly or distorted voices. And just because you lower someone's voice an octave doesn't automatically make it scary. The movie also relies heavily on repetition. For example, Evie's phone randomly ringing happens over and over again. I counted at least 5 times. And I'm still not sure how a phone ringing is supposed to be scary. Another thing they constantly do is play an audio clip, then immediately follow it with the classic horror line, "Did you hear that?" Just so they can replay the same clip multiple times. Then you get the usual horror tropes we've all seen before. There's a scene where she starts drawing uncontrollably until a larger picture forms from the smaller drawings. There are strange noises in empty rooms, and the camera constantly pans slowly towards absolutely nothing. And that's another big problem with this movie. The scares are telegraphed. The camera movements basically warn you that something is about to happen, so there's never any natural build-up or surprise when the audio finally kicks in. Alright, let's get into some light spoilers. And honestly, the movie pretty much plays out exactly how you'd expect. The audio recordings turn out to be cursed, and of course there's a demon attached to them that eventually starts coming after Evie. As things get worse and worse, instead of doing the obvious thing, like stopping the recordings and maybe trying literally anything else, Evie and her co-host decide to keep going and play all 10 audio clips. Because apparently the best solution to a cursed recording is to keep listening to it. I won't completely ruin the ending for you, but I will say this: if you're hoping for some big payoff or satisfying conclusion, you're probably going to be disappointed, because nothing in this movie ever really builds to anything meaningful. My final verdict: overall, I'm giving Undertone an inaudible 2 out of 10. The movie honestly almost put me to sleep, and that's saying a lot for a film that's supposed to rely on terrifying audio. None of the performances were particularly captivating, and the dialogue early in the movie felt pretty rough, although I will say it improves slightly as the film goes on. but unfortunately that small improvement isn't enough to save the movie. I can't recommend this one at all. I wouldn't even say it's worth a stream. In fact, this movie has easily worked its way into my bottom 5 movies of the year. Well, that's my review on Undertone, y'all. Be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Let me know what you thought of the review. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.